When traveling in the depths, have you ever walked past the ghost offering a not so good weapon like a traveler spear, so you just ignore them? It seems reasonable to skip, but I suggest not ignoring any of them, and rather picking up all their weapons as you pass, even if it's just to toss them out immediately. The reason being is that taking a weapon allows a new weapon to spawn there after a blood moon, which has a chance of being something good that you actually want. This is my first piece of advice for anyone getting pristine weapons in the depths, as if you're only rolling about taking the good weapons while ignoring the weak ones, eventually the only weapons you'll be finding here are these weak remnants, so I advise keeping this in mind so you don't run into a brick wall down the line. But with all these different weapon types, how exactly do these pristine weapon offerings work? Across the entire depths, there are a total of 679 of them, and the one consistent thing about these is that the basic traveler weapons are the one type they can all potentially offer, either the swords, spears, or claymores. Any of the other pristine weapon types, such as Gerudo, Zora, or the others, can only spawn when two main criteria have been met. 1. You are in the right depths region to find said weapon, so pristine Gerudo weapons will be found in the Hebrew depths, Zora weapons in the Lanero depths, etc. And 2. You have broken the decayed version of said weapon at least once, which first involves finding that corresponding decayed weapon and shattering it in combat. To put this in perspective, at the start of the game, the only pristine weapons a player can find in the depths are the basic traveler ones, as nothing else has been broken. But once a player uses up a decayed Zora spear until it breaks, that allows pristine Zora spears to appear in the depths within the respective Lanero area, and the same case applies to all decayed weapons. This is why it's good to use up every decayed at least once, so you can start finding their pristine counterparts in the depths, which is a huge reason why people can never seem to find some of them. The location is also very crucial too, because only some are in self-explanatory areas, such as Gerudo weapons being in Hebra, Goron weapons in Eldon, Zora weapons in Lanero, Gerudo weapons in Gerudo minus the Highlands, Sheikah weapons in most included territories, and Korok weapons being in the grand area around Korok Forest. I'll have all these maps linked down below, but the one thing to note is that each of these offerings are preset to spawn either exclusively one-handed, two-handed, or spears. So in a case like the Korok weapons here, since there are no two-handed Korok weapons in the game, these two-handed statues are less important in this region. The other weapon types with their locations are a bit more broad, as soldier weapons can be found almost anywhere in the world. Knight weapons are a bit more region selective to avoid earlier game areas, royal weapons even more so as they are very limited, and royal guard are nearly non-existent. The increasing scarcity is due to the power of said weapons and being balanced to the harder depths areas. But as long as you know the area you can find a certain pristine weapon in, and you have broken its decayed counterpart, you are now able to find these weapons in the depths. But obviously though, not all ghost offerings will give you what you want, as you'll still keep finding the weak traveler weapons even late in a playthrough. So what are the odds of getting the favorable weapons? Well, let's take a Feathered Edge for an example, which can appear in the Hebra depths along with knights and royal swords. Since there are 3 different types of one-handed swords that can appear in this region, each has a 1/3 chance of spawning in at each of these one-handed statues, which is first determined and spawned in when you get within a close range of it. These odds will be identical for the spear offerings here as well, as there are again 3 types. But for the two-handed weapons, since there's no Gerudo Claymore, a soldier weapon instead takes the place of that slot. If you're looking to better visualize all these loophools, you can do so using the Tears of the Kingdom object map, which is linked below, and I'll show the potential drops for each and every offering. You can do so by typing in the following line into its search bar so you can view all of them, or typing in a specific weapon also works too. This is all assuming that the decayed versions have all been broken though, because if you haven't broken one of the decayed weapons in this loot pool, it will be replaced with a weak traveler weapon of that same type. So in a lot of the medium to higher level regions, you can actually fully rid the area of traveler spawns, assuming you've broken all the other possible weapons there. And after breaking all the decayeds in the game, the only places where you're going to find them again are in areas like the starting depths in Central Hyrule, so you can really get them out of mind. But when you find a new offering and you don't like what you see, the only way to get a new weapon here is by picking it up and coming back after the next blood moon, as this will effectively re-roll the weapon you see here using the same odds. My advice for getting these weapons most efficiently is after picking up each one, I always leave a little guide pin on every offering so I can chart them out in my game. And later on, when I want more of these weapons, I'll roll through them all quickly, keeping all the ones I want and throwing out the bad ones I want to cycle out. And it's a fantastic way of getting the best weapons efficiently. Another good tip for pristine weapons is that if you're unhappy with the modifier you get on one, you can re-roll this modifier by saving and reloading, which is really convenient considering the game creates an autosave right after you walk up to one of these weapons. But still, only do this if you're really trying to make a selective weapon build, as the assumed odds between the three really favor long throw and disfavor attack up. These are just the percentages that Breath of the Wild used for these, and they seem to line up with my in-game testing. But last and not least, there is one extremely crucial thing to know about the odds of getting pristine weapons, and that is how these odds can be manipulated in your favor. You remember how we talked about how traveler weapons will fill in gaps of a loot pool if you didn't break the decayeds of those weapons? Well, for whatever reason, this only applies once per offering. So in the Heber depths, despite its bigger potential loot pool, if we only broke a decayed Gerudo weapon here and none of the other ones, the loot table would only replace one of these unfulfilled weapons with the Traveler's, so the odds will only be divided amongst these two types at a 50% chance of each, which means way higher odds of a Gerudo weapon specifically. Knowing this, if you want to alter your playstyle to only use weapons you really want and ignore others, you could get much better odds at the pristine weapons you actually like. I realize this info may be late for everyone already playing the game, but if you're looking for a more controlled second playthrough or challenge run in the future, this could be a fine option to try out, because I'm sure a lot of players really won't miss using soldier or knight weapons to make the others more common. Note though that this won't work for weapon types in small loot tables like Zora and Goron, because Zora offerers only have one other weapon type in its loot table, and the Goron ones already have traveler weapons in one of its 3 slots, so there's no way to manipulate the odds of these two types. But regardless, I hope the broad explanation on this system has helped you understand how it works much better than it did before, and now you know how to find these weapons best in the depths. The research behind this video can all be credited to Echocolat, who has done amazing work with decompiling this game, and you can find all the maps with all these weapon types linked in the description below, along with the object map as well. But thank you all so much for watching this episode of Stats of the Kingdom, and be sure to check out the playlist for all future informative Tears of the Kingdom videos to come. I hope you guys have a good one. Goodbye!